Hello, this is Andrew with WMH Racing, and the craziness I have for you this evening. This new craziness is the Jerry. Good Lord, what is the Jerry? All right, so this is actually inspired by another YouTuber. His channel is What Up Clegg, and he does some motor tuning. That he does videos for everybody. Very nice of him. And I sent him some stuff, and then he proceeded to chop it all up and make something else out of it. So I gave him a call a couple weeks ago, and I said, you know, Arnell, I think I want to make that. So I'll call it the Jerry. And, you know, because you designed that, I want to make sure that I have your permission before I go, you know, turn it into my own. And he said, oh, absolutely, have fun. So here we are. This is the Jerry. All right. This is the second version I made. The first version was, he's actually got one. He's got a video of it. So the first version looked very similar to, you know, the standard Loadmaster on the top, where it had the, you know, the wires coming out of the top like this, you know. But what I found when I wanted to do something like this, where the motors were offset and you used a gear, what I found is when you have a motor in here, there is some lateral play. So I don't know if you can see that very well, but there is some lateral play in the motor in the stand, right? And because of this, when you had two motors with gears on them and trying to run each other, that lateral play could push the motor and cause an issue with the gear mesh, and I was stripping gears. So I had to go to the design board and figure out how to design a clamping system without making it too intricate. You know, we still want you know, we still want to be able to build these, you know, at least decently fast, right? So what I came up with is basically this screw on the top. So this right here is the actual clamp. And if you look in here, it's like got pistons that push down on this clamp. And so you move the piece up and down, it moves the clamp up and down. And so when you put a motor in there, you screw this down, and you know, you don't need much of a gap. You know, just a little bit of a gap there is enough. And you'll see when I put this motor in right here, and I screw this down, there's I mean, you don't have to screw it down much. So right there, I mean, that's enough. And if we look at the other side, there is absolutely no lateral play there. So I'm not worried about stripping the gears. And then you'll also notice that the tabs are on the bottom now. And also the resistors for the load are inside this case. This does make it kind of a little loud, louder than the standard Loadmaster, having the resistors inside here with you know, basically the box and, you know, nice little vents to amplify the sound for you. It's almost like a, you know, guitar, right? But I figured it was better to have the resistors there instead of all out. And then because I did that on this side, I decided to take the wires out of the front, so no more wires hanging off the back. All right, so you got the clamp on both sides. Now, what is the purpose of the Jerry? So Arnell uses it to try to get the RPM the same on the slave motor, so he can look at the so he can, you know, say that the load, because if the RPM is the same, it's producing the same load on the drive motor. And so long as you're only a couple of teeth pinion off, that's going to be fine, right? But me, I'm using it to vary the load. So for example, there are, let's see, is this the 13? I think this is a 13.5. Yeah, this is a 13.5. Of course, you can't see that from there, but this is a 13.5. And remember, well, not remember, there are some people that had issues with 13.5s with the tunalizer. So the because the auto run on the tunalizer would produce too much startup torque. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 2 pinions that are the same number of teeth, and I'm going to run this and show you what I mean with the tunalizer. You'll see that this will stall out. This is basically replicating the Loadmaster with the straight shaft. 2 pinions of the same teeth will give you the same results as a straight shaft on the Loadmaster. All right, so there are 4 screws to screw in here to screw the motor down, and it uses threaded inserts, so you don't have to worry about the screws stripping out of the plastic. But you still got to worry about how much torque you use, because over time the inserts can start to pull out of the plastic. All right, so I've got my tunalizer, and I'm going to plug the sensor cable in. I need more light. And I'm going to plug the tunalizer in, and I'm using a power supply to power the tunalizer. And then we got A, B, and C. Okay, now like I said, this is a little loud, and I am using aluminum gears. Using steel gears was really loud. Plastic gears will probably be quieter, but I do not have any. And I'm not sure that I would really want to try them. But here we go, auto motor test, and you should see that this will fail when it goes back on that third spins up, and it goes backwards and goes back forwards again. It'll stop. All right, see. All right, there we go. All right. The reason being is because it's just too much current, and it stalls it out. All right. But what we can do is we can change the load that the slave motor has by adjusting the gear ratio here. So if I change this gear ratio from the same gears and use a gear reduction, it will put less load on the test motor. You see right there we were at 12 amps. And I'm going to, for this one, I'm going to go kind of the extreme here. And I'm going to put a 60 tooth pinion on the slave. And then I'm going to put, oh, I can't even tell what this is, 23? I think it's a 23 tooth pinion. It's my smallest pinion on the test motor. So this is almost a 3-to-1 ratio. And I don't want that gap there, so slide this forward just a little bit more, maybe. All right, here we go. All right, so we'll try this again now. Notice that it's spinning much faster because it's, oh, I didn't really get the gear mesh all that well. But you can see that the load dropped all the way down to 6 amps, and I was able to successfully complete a run using the 13.5. You can also use this with some motors, like some of the 21.5s and the 25.5s to put even more of a load. by reversing this, putting the bigger pinion on the test motor and a smaller pinion on the slave motor, would allow you to increase the load. Whereas the Loadmaster, you have to, you pretty much have to change the resistors. Changing the slave motor also will change the load. Again, if you use a higher turn slave motor, so using something like a 25.5, will put more load on the test than using a lower turn motor like a 10.5, or even going like, you know, a 5.5 or a 5.0. Those will put less load on the test than the slaves. All right, so that's really all I have on this, the Jerry. These will be available in my shop very soon. So thank you for watching, and have a good one.